Hello ladies, I am going to demonstrate how I make my hair moisturizer. First, I have the mango butter. I'm using mango butter. I've done this with shea butter, but this is mango butter that I got from Amazon, white mango butter, and this is what it looks like, the consistency when you take it out of the jar. So I'm going to go put that in the microwave for 30 seconds. You want to put it in the microwave for a short time because it won't whip if it completely melts. So 30 seconds at a time till it gets kind of a soft consistency, sort of like a soft butter. Then I'm using Organic Extra Virgin Coconut Oil by Nutiva. It's actually really good to eat as well. And that outside of the container looks like this. This is kind of the consistency of it. It's a little bit warm in here, so it's pretty soft. So I'll do the same thing with that. I'll probably put this in for 15 seconds because it melts faster. Okay, it's still pretty firm. It's still pretty firm. But I think I'm going to put it in for maybe 30 more seconds and leave it. Also, I will be using now almond oil. All of these ingredients I got from Amazon, and I had heard on YouTube that E oil will help preserve whatever you create, your own creations. So I'll put some drops of that in there. Okay, the coconut oil did melt somewhat, but that's okay because I'm going to put it in with this mango butter that isn't really melted much. Okay, and then I'll simply take this. It's a stick blender. This one's a braun, but it doesn't matter. This is really old. And it just has, you use it to make soups and things smooth. It works great for this purpose. Okay. So, I'll take this and dump it into my larger bowl. Take my coconut oil, dump that into the bowl. And the warmth of the melted coconut oil will also help to melt it. And then you just go in with your stick blender. And the goal is to make it soft and whipped. So a soft whipped consistency. And you can see it. And if you use shea butter or the mango butter and you don't heat it at all, it will still whip up to be very soft consistency. It just takes a lot longer. So I like to melt it a little bit. And as you can see, it's actually starting to soften and whip to a nice consistency. It's got lumpy, so you don't want to leave the lumps. You want to get it as smooth as possible. Okay. Scrape some of the lumps off of here and out of the bottom. I'll turn this around so you can see it. It gets stuck in the bottom, and you just scrape some of the lumps out of there, and then you can start again until it gets a nice smooth consistency. So let's go back in. I usually make this in larger batches for myself and for my friends that really like it. But I was trying to do exact measurements since I'm doing the video. So, as you can see, it's getting smoother. I used 8 ounces of the mango butter. I weighed it out on a scale. I guess you could use a measuring cup. And I used 4 ounces of the coconut oil. Now, as you can see, it's getting to be a nice smooth consistency, but you really want to get the lumps out before you're finished. So I'm going to scrape it out one more time. well, one more time that I know of. I may have to do it again. But you can see some of the lumps get stuck up on the inside. And you definitely want it to be completely smooth before you put it away. Now the next step after I finished doing this, I discovered that I would get it in this beautiful whipped consistency, and then when I would put it in the jar, and the next day when I would come, when it had cooled off, it would be completely solid. The whipped consistency was gone. So what I do now is I put it in, I mix it up, get it nice and whipped. Just going to use a couple of drops, squirts. You can see this. Vitamin E oil. And then whip it around by hand. So the way I found a way to keep that from happening, where when you have it all nice and whipped and then you pull the jar out, it's all hard, it's a rock. Because the mango butter and the coconut oil both change to a firm consistency solidify once they get cool. So what I discovered, there was a great way to counteract that, and also good for your hair, is to add almond oil. But I want to wait to add the almond oil until it's completely smooth. So, mixing it around, mixing it around. Vitamin E oil is in there now. You see it's getting smoother and smoother. You see there still are some lumps in there, so we want to get those lumps out. When you first add the almond oil, I'm going to add a half a cup of almond oil, but it's not ready yet. It needs to be a little bit smoother. When you first add the almond oil, it's going to seem too loose, too liquidy when you first put the almond oil in, but that goes away once it cools off. It makes it the perfect consistency. You may have to play around with it a little bit, exactly how much you want to add, but you definitely want to add. You could put olive oil, or I like the almond oil because it doesn't have much of a scent to it. But for people who are allergic to almonds, that's not a good idea because it would cause a serious allergic reaction. So you can use something they're not allergic to, peanut oil. If you're not allergic to peanut oil, you can use olive oil. I heard grapeseed oil is good, but there are all kinds of oils. So you just have to be careful. If you know you have allergies, and don't use something that could cause you an allergic reaction. Okay, as you can see, it's really getting to be a luscious mixture here. Still got some lumps in there. Okay, let's see. As you can see, even on here, there's no big lumps on this anymore. It's just a smooth consistency, almost like whipped cream, when you or meringue, sort of a meringue consistency. But trust me, if you let this cool off and let it reach room temperature, it will not be whipped and smooth. Look, it will be very, very firm. And if you want more of a pomade kind of effect, where you don't mind it being really thick, then just leave it like that. But just experiment with different amounts of whatever liquid oil you use. I actually like the mango butter better than the shea butter. I use shea butter the first several times only because it has less fragrance. It has less of its own fragrance, even though I like the smell of shea butter. This one, because it doesn't have hardly any fragrance of its own, you can add fragrance and it won't conflict with it. Okay, so now it's pretty smooth. There are a few tiny lumps here and there. It's about the consistency of meringue or pudding. And now I'm going to add a half a cup of the almond oil, and hopefully will not be too much once it cools. So you can see now it looks very liquidy. And I'm going to keep mixing it. Oh, yeah, it really looks delicious. Did I say delicious? It looks delicious. You're not going to be eating this. Although at this point, before I add the fragrance, you actually could eat it, use it for food. You just got coconut oil, mango butter. Well, I don't know if that mango butter is food grade, so I'll take that back. Don't eat it. Okay, so now it's nice and smooth and whipped. So the only thing left is fragrance. Fragrance is optional. You can use, you can see, very smooth. Okay, so the fragrance is optional. If you want to have no fragrance, that's fine. If you want to use essential oil fragrance, you can. I have found vanilla essential oil, even though people say there's no such thing as that. I have found it. There's orange, there's all kinds. But I'm going to be using this Crafter's Choice Fragrance Flavor Essential Oil. And I get this from Wholesales Supplies Plus. And this one is called Angel Food Cake. I love it. I love, love, love it. And people who smell it always say, oh, you're making me hungry. Okay. Although most people can't really place what it is. And okay, ladies, so these are the ingredients. Nutiva Organic Extra Virgin Coconut Oil, the Vitamin E Oil by Sundown. I looked at it, read the label. It is not food grade, so you cannot eat this. Almond oil, it says pure, again, not food grade. And mango butter, again, not food grade. So the only thing in here that could possibly be ingested is